If there was one specific objective that Donald Trump was supposed to accomplish, I would say that objective that he has been consistent on was that he was going to end the war. He says it over and over again in the campaign. In fact, he was attacked on that very notion of, I am going to end the war. All of these people are dying for no reason. Before the election took place, he was talking to Tucker Carlson. And he pointed out to Tucker Carlson, we spent $9 trillion in Iraq and Afghanistan. It was more than that, but whatever. We spent $9 trillion in Iraq and Afghanistan. And what did we get for it? Nothing. We've burned and blown up all of these places in the Middle East, and we've got nothing out of this. We need to stop these wars. We need to stop these people being killed. And on that, I applauded. Meaning, I don't care about this other stuff. Even though, no, I don't particularly like that stuff. No, I didn't necessarily vote for Donald Trump. But would I approve of a president that can actually try to make peace as opposed to being in this kind of forever war just as policy? Yes, I can approve those things. I can be specific in what I approve versus what I disapprove. And on this one, I actually hope he fulfills his campaign pledge. It came out today that on Thursday, Donald Trump apparently called Vladimir Putin to have a conversation about how to end the war. Welcome to The Thomas Show. My name is Jamal Thomas. This is the Jamal Thomas Show. I hope you guys are doing all right. Look, if you guys dig the content, whether it's this video or other videos, hit the like button. It helps. Share the content. Definitely subscribe. Typically, I'm here Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m., Monday through Friday every morning, right here in your ear as you go to work or whatever you're doing in the morning. This video is not meant to be long. I just wanted to point this out. My internet has been a bit fuzzy today, so I want to get this one done quick. Donald Trump has apparently called Vladimir Putin. Now, they don't have a Russian readout of this yet, at least not that I've seen, but the readout from the Washington Post is the one that's reporting this. He contacted Putin. He urged Putin not to escalate in Ukraine. And if I'm reading this right, part of this was somewhat of a veiled threat, effectively saying, look, we have a lot of armaments in Europe. Now, that is terrifying to me because what he gets across is that Donald Trump thinks he has leverage in the situation, and the reality on the ground is he does not. And when people try to win lost things, they tend to lose that much more. But put that to the side for the moment. Joe Biden wasn't even willing to make that call. And Donald Trump is at least starting with this premise, I'm going to end the war. And as I said, this was one of his main campaign pledges. After Donald Trump accepted the nomination, meaning after he won, at his first speech, he pointed out and was very clear, my first goal is to fulfill my campaign pledges. There's a lot of grimy stuff in those campaign pledges, but I'm hoping at the very least one of the bright spots is we're going to end wars, not start them. The reporting is that Donald Trump called Vladimir Putin on Thursday. He urged Putin not to, quote, escalate, unquote, the conflict, reminding him of a significant U.S. military presence in Europe. This is basically one of the sources pointed out. It says, apart from that, Putin and Trump spoke about, quote, the goal of peace on the European continent, unquote, with the president expressing interest in conversations about a, quote, resolution of the Ukraine war soon. So, as I said, there was no talk from the Russian side, meaning there was no readout of this call from Putin's point of view. But I would say it's a positive that at the very least, before Donald Trump has even taken office, that he started to make connections with world leaders, specifically world leaders that we are nearly at a nuclear war with. So it seems that he is trying to fulfill this campaign pledge. Whether he could do it or not, I don't know. I mean, truth of the matter is Russia has been pretty clear about what its intentions are, and they're not necessarily going to deviate that considering the position or the dominant position they have on the ground. That territory, from their point of view, is part of the Russian Federation. There's nothing that is going to change that. Ukraine, damn sure, it doesn't have the capability of changing that. And I don't know what Trump wants to do in regards to escalate, but unless he wants a nuclear war, he needs to fulfill his campaign pledge and back the fuck down. We are expanding to the Russian border, not the other way around. We knocked over Ukraine. They're not knocking over Mexico. I'm saying we are the hostile party. in this. We are expanding. We are getting closer to them, making their security interests that much more dire. So I don't know what this phone call is. I don't even know how Putin is accepting this phone call. But if nothing else, I would try not to jump to the worst of conclusions and go with this notion that Donald Trump, at the very least, is trying to fulfill the campaign pledge of ending the war. How he ends it, I don't know. I would say, though, that Russia is going to stick to its demands and denazify Ukraine. NATO is not going to be a part of Ukraine ever. Ukraine is going to be a neutral nation, etc., etc., etc. Not to mention, those troops would need to leave the Russian Federation, and those breakaway areas are part of the Russian Federation. I can't see Putin deviating on those things, especially since those countries or those areas are now part of Russia. But who knows? There may be some leeway in that where Donald Trump could save face in regards to making some kind of deal in negotiation. As I said, his campaign pledge was to end the war. So all things being equal, I suppose this is a way of starting to end the war. There were a few plans that were pushed about that the Wall Street Journal were talking about. None of those plans are workable. All of those plans are going to be dead on arrival. But those are just ideas. That's not necessarily a final, conclusive thing. Those were things that were being batted about within the Trump administration. Freezing the conflict, not going to happen. NATO in 20 years, not going to happen. We'll just wait and see. Wait and see. I will say, though, that it is a positive step that Donald Trump is, at the very least, willing to make contact and, at the very least, make his intentions clear that I want to end the war. That is a hell of a lot further than the previous administration, or for that matter, the Harris administration, would have ever gone. I applaud him for that. And I hope he keeps going in this specific direction of ending these wars. Like, share, subscribe. Thanks all.